All right, it is Wednesday. It is 4:30 p.m. Central Time. It is time for office hours, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone that celebrating here, primarily here in the US. But I heard on the call earlier this morning there are actually a few European that has either roots over here or just feel very supportive and also doing the celebrations. So again, hope you guys will have a fantastic week ahead here, or continuing the week, of course.
Exactly. Hopefully, a very nice long weekend for everybody.
Yeah. But it's been good already. I mean, today at work, I've been much more relaxed than in a long time. So I'm thankful for that.
I found it's a lot easier to get things done when you're not in meetings all day long, too, isn't it?
Yep. Meetings that could have been an email at times.
Oh, surely that doesn't happen.
All right. So, well, what have you been up to?
Well, these short weeks always feel busy, oddly enough, which is funny. But the community has kept us busy. I think with everything going on with Ignite, with the Live 360 conference that a lot of our friends were at as well last week. So we've seen a lot of announcements come out. A lot of things around Intune and automation and things like that that I would be happy to share if you'd like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Um, First thing that we have here is an update from the Intune support team. So, um, the administrative templates that you can create now when you go into Intune and create a configuration profile, you can select administrative templates. New administrative templates are not going to be allowed starting in the next service release of Intune, which will be mid to late December. And I wanted to point this out because these settings are just simply moving into this settings catalog. So Microsoft has been working on this migration for some time now, moving more and more settings into the settings catalog. And I really wanted to bring this up because Mike Donosky had a follow-up tweet that did mention that the imported ADMX template experience, so if you're importing custom ADMXs today, those are not changing specifically. This is just those administrative templates that you have in configuration profiles. So you'll be able to use the settings catalog he mentioned for things like Edge, Office, OneDrive, Chrome, FS Logix, Visual Studio, Clipchamp. Those were the specific products he called out. So um, if there was any concern about the importing ADMX templates going away, no worries there. This is just streamlining things over to the settings catalog, which in general I think is a good thing. Makes it a lot easier for us. Um, and then I think I mentioned last week that one of the big announcements on the Intune side of things to come out of Ignite was the enhanced hardware inventory being released. Kind of funny, I think. What was that late Monday night, Johan? I reached out to you asking, "Hey, do you see the settings to actually configure enhanced hardware inventory in your tenant?" Lo and behold, neither of us did.
No, I was like, nope, it's not there.
So, as it turns out, it seems that feature was quietly at first delayed until December. So, I wanted to make sure that we referenced this post from Lior. I think that I mentioned this post specifically last week, but you can see here that it's been updated just to reflect that feature is meant to come out in December now. So a little bit of a change there on the deadline. Then I'll just hit a couple of other things real quick. Did see this this post from Damien on automatically populating device groups based on user groups in Azure Automation. So, as always, Damien's got a bunch of great solutions around automating things in Intune and Entra. So, wanted to point this out if this is something that you would like to use in your organization. Came across another blog post as well from our friend Akosh, who I see has joined us today. He posted on basically integrating Autopilot onboarding with OSDCloud. So Akosh goes through a couple of things here, setting up the certificates and app registration in order to make this work. But essentially, this would allow you to image a device with the OSDCloud and then actually import it into Autopilot. So some really great stuff here. I wanted to make sure that we shared this. Thanks for this blog post, Akosh. And then just a few more quick things. One, came across a tweet from Arya posting about Recall is back. So Recall is back in an insider preview build. It is off by default for commercial OS, and it's back only for Copilot Plus ARM PCs. So there are a couple of caveats there, but just be aware that Recall has made its way back into the insider builds.
Yeah, there was a mention that it will come for Intel and AMD later, but I couldn't see any like timeline or anything. So my guess is as good as anyone. But I put my money on some point next year.
Yeah, I think that's good money right there. Last two things here. One, came across this blog post from Martin Bankston that looked interesting. Basically using Intune to associate certain file types that could potentially be harmful to Notepad, so that if you were to happen to download one of these things, so you can see some of the examples that he used here, JavaScript files, HTA files, VBS files, WSF, things like that, associating those file types with Notepad, so that if they do happen to get to the point that they're opened in plain text. So a little bit of a nice security measure there. And then the last thing that I came across, I don't think I had come across this resource before, but I saw somebody post about the Windows 11 security book had been updated. And this is some documentation that Microsoft puts out that has some recommendations around, you can see here the table of contents in the book, hardware security, OS security, things like that. Things that we as admins need to consider in how we're securing our users and our devices. So this looked pretty useful to me. Have you come across this before, Johan?
No, have not.
All right. Well, it looks like you and I have a little bit of reading to do after eating a whole bunch of turkey tomorrow.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
So that was a lot of the stuff that I'd come across over the last week. But Johan, you're joining us. You're back again this week after what sounds like a fantastic Ignite conference. You want to tell us a little bit about your experience there?
Absolutely, yes. It was great to be able to go to Ignite and basically have it in my backyard. But I can take the train every morning and take the train home every night. But it was so great to be back in an in-person large conference like Ignite. I remember first time back in 2015 coming to McCormick and just walking mile after mile back and forth. Luckily this year it was slightly smaller, so only 14,000 people, but still I got in my steps walking back and forth for sure. But as you mentioned, there was a good chunk of news coming out of Ignite. I had a chance to present a session there, and I also saw a question coming about that session. So I actually started to put together a blog post with the highlights from the session, and also with links to the scripts, etc., that was showcased or that I showcased in it. So if you guys give me a day or two here, I should have that one published. Yeah, no, it was fantastic to be back at Ignite. I really liked that conference.
One of the really nice things that it sounded like when you and I were talking about it a little bit is I know that you were kind of hanging out at one of the booths for quite a while. And so the benefit of being in person, um, uh, it sounded like you got to talk with quite a few people for a long time.
Yeah, so the Intune area, they had two booths in the expo area of Ignite, and it was staffed by both Microsoft product team members, but also there was almost 200 MVPs on site in total. So there were a few MVPs always. I stumbled across Dean there, for example, Steve Weiner as well. But we had our shifts in the booth, and there was just a steady stream of people asking questions all day long. I'm so happy I kept my voice. It was like constant talking that it's somewhat dry, conference air, and yeah, but it was fun. It was fun.
Awesome.
Um, on the note of Ignite, let me go ahead and share my screen here. First of all, I did start to write the blog post. I just took a screenshot here showing that I am working on it. So if you just give me a day or two, I will get something going with that one. But Microsoft, I'm not sure if you showed this last week, but they did release the book of news. So if you want a summary of everything that was released throughout the week of Ignite, this is a good read, of course. A fairly long read, but there is a table of contents, so you can go ahead and, pick what you're interested in. For example, Intune, and you will see everything that is related to Intune and more in this one. One of the questions that we got all the time in the booth was confusion between Autopatch and Hotpatch, because Hotpatch was announced for Windows 11 clients coming at some point next year here. But you can already, in NGA, but you can already start to play around with it now. And Autopatch is the mechanism that helps deliver it. But if you go to your Intune tenant already today, assuming you do have the deployment service license and all that good stuff, which is also required for Autopatch. So if I go to my devices here, I'm going to click Windows just to make the list a little bit smaller on the left side. But when I click quality updates, so not the normal update rings, but the quality updates, and create a new profile and pick quality update preview, you will see that, just going to give it a name here. You do have that option now to, when available, apply without restarting the device. So the whole point of this is basically, if you patch monthly today, obviously you will have to reboot the device at least 12 times a year. The idea here is to reduce that to 4. So you basically you patch fully in January, and then you skip rebooting in February, March, and then full reboot again in April. And now in this first version, this is only security updates. That's how they can make it fairly small, these updates in between. But I'm looking forward to play around and test with this. So quite excited about this feature. Then it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. One of the earlier office hours, Matt was asking about connected cache part. So I actually spent some time earlier this week finally getting my act together after being away on the conference, put together a step-by-step guide how to set up, verify, and basically test out the standalone connected cache, which has the fancy name Connected Cache for Enterprise and Education. So fairly just a few pages long guide, 11, 12 steps, something like that. How to set it up, how to make the configurations, and finally, in the end, how to verify that it works, and also how you can see it on both the client side that it's using the cache server, but also metrics on the Azure side of things to see that stuff is working as expected. I was only able to get it up to 80% on Monday, but I will see if we can squeeze those numbers up a little bit better throughout the week here. So, yeah, that was what I had in terms of updates. Do we have any questions?
Awesome. We do. Matt is asking if either of us have had the opportunity to test admin protection yet. If so, how to check when the end user can use it or not, and is it available all the time?
I have not.
No, I have not either, unfortunately. Matt also had a follow-up question on Hotpatch. Do you know if it's going to work on the December 2024 updates?
Sorry, I do not. This is all fairly new. I haven't had a chance to try it out myself yet. Worth mentioning, it is also for Windows Server 2025. It's not just Windows 11. They announced that as well. Obviously not from Intune, but you know. Anyway. Just trying to see if I can find some confirmation about that. Oh, I can show the link here with the post from David. It was posted a week of Ignite here. No, just the requirement on that version of Windows 11. It needs to be recently patched one. This one here. But it doesn't say when the first update without reboot will come in. If this holds true, then yes, but I don't know. Haven't tried yet.
Okay, that was the part that I missed in the announcement that I think you just mentioned. That you'll have a couple of hot patches, and then you'll have the standard patch that will force the reboot. Okay.
Yeah. But still, it's eight reboots less.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I missed that part until you just mentioned it, because that was some of the conversation that I was seeing happen out there. Right? Is all right. That's awesome that we get to reboot less, but those monthly reboots, in a lot of ways, we sort of rely on helping keep our system stable, right? So that sort of answers that, I think.
Yeah. That was a question coming in here from LinkedIn also, if Hotpatch will hamper any system performance. I do not know. I don't think so, but I simply do not know at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is seemingly one of those we'll wait and see. There's a lot of promise there, but with it just being released and with it being in preview still, I imagine that we'll run into a couple of bumps.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Matt's asking, he's got a client with 5 different sites. Can I configure a VM at each site for Microsoft Connected Cache?
Absolutely, yes. The way I set it up in my lab here is that I actually have multiple labs in my lab. So I have one, where did I put that one? One MCC, one cache node on one specific network here, on this location here, that serves a few different sites. And then I have another one that is in a completely other part of the network that I have a bunch of networks using that one. And you can either set that through policies. If you're using Intune, you can also set those in regular Intune policies, or more commonly, you set it on the DHCP scope option. So in the blog post that I showed earlier, I did put in a link somewhere here on how to set it up using the DHCP. So if you scroll down to this post, scroll down about 2/3 in it, this is the scope options you need to configure. You need to add them in, and then you simply specify the cache host in that scope. So you have your scope options here. And that allows you to have different networks use different cache servers without having to have like 5 different policies. Instead, you set it in scope options.
And that will allow unmanaged devices to use it as well, I presume?
And any device that is capable of downloading from delivery optimization, because that's the only content it will cache. And only content that is allowed to be cached. So we showcased this a few times, but Phil over at 2Pint put together a nice little post about which content that is peerable and not peerable, and that also goes into caching. So for example, here, if you check the 2024 edition, you will see that some content that Microsoft has is not, cacheable. But normal Windows updates, normal store applications, most of them that comes within Windows, they will do it. But some of the ones that you download may not. It depends. So a bit of a jungle, but yeah, there we are.
Definitely. I'm not sure if we covered this before, but do you see a benefit to folks using the standalone connected cache, even if they have ConfigMgr today?
I mean, if you already have a ConfigMgr infrastructure and you plan to continue to use it, you might as well use the cache server there. What is nice about the standalone option is the metrics, because ConfigMgr doesn't have really good metrics at all, whereas the online version actually has, better at least, metrics. So if I go to my caches, I can either go to just the overview and I'm up to 81% now, so that is good. But I have some overview here about the downloads, but I can also go down onto the metrics here, and I can set a timeline I want to look for, maybe the last 48 hours, and I will pick a metric, how many megabytes was downloaded, etc., and it will show me that, and I can zoom in and whatnot here in the data. So it's better.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. So I'll say that is an improvement. Plus, it can run on anything. In this case, I'm running my 2 caches. They are on Windows 11 clients. So.
Yeah, that is nice. So you can kind of throw something out there on whatever network you need, and away you go.
Indeed. So, great question. Thank you, Matt.
Very cool.
A little bit biased. I happen to like this technology, but still a great question.
Well, and for good reason, right? I mean, who doesn't want to save bandwidth?
Yeah. All right. Any other questions out there? You're happy to answer. In the meantime, I can go ahead and make a note of that link so I don't forget it.
Thinking ahead.
Yeah, yes, sir. Should probably mention that for those that are following our technical community or posting in our community, we do have an upcoming event, December 20. Andrew and I will spend some time on troubleshooting software updates, because what can possibly go wrong with software updates?
Oh,
a few things.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly.
So we will spend some time on that one.
I'm looking forward to that. It's a nice time of year, nice
Just
length of
before
session. Yeah.
Christmas, 20 some
Yes.
minutes. Yeah.
Matt had a follow-up question on Connected Cache. Does it cost anything to download from Connected Cache?
No. Well, no, as long as you run it on your own network. Of
Yeah.
course, there's nothing that prevents you from spinning it up in a VM in Azure or Amazon, but then you will have to pay for the download. So I don't quite see the point of doing that. The intention is to have it local. So the answer is no. There was a follow-up question, Mr. Green, regarding the enhanced hardware inventory in Intune. We just mentioned whether we started here. That one has been delayed to December. If you have the link handy, we can show it again, Andrew.
Yeah, I have it up if you want to switch over to my screen.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
There we go.
this one here. So still hopefully in good time for Christmas. So it's a nice Christmas gift from Microsoft here, but we've been waiting for this for quite some time. So it turned out we have to wait a month more.
I'm really looking forward to playing around with it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And they did mention this too. I think I mentioned it last week, but cross-platform inventory as well. So this first rollout in December is going to be for Windows, but Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, and Android are coming early next year. Also exciting.
No Linux? What the heck?
Yeah, come on.
All right. Any other questions? We still have a solid 32 minutes available.
Got a lot of folks out prepping their turkeys, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, after the session today, I'm in charge of the grill for the evening even, so.
Ah, yes. Very nice.
My favorite, I don't have it available. There is an image of a gentleman is out in the snow up to his waist grilling, and the text is basically, where there is a grill, there is a way.
That's great. And so true.
Yeah. So we don't have snow yet, but it's not warm and toasty anymore.
No.
In Chicago, at least, it's not warm and toasty.
This weekend is supposed to drop down to like 10 degrees overnight, I think.
Yeah. And I just read they had like 90 degrees in Spain. They had the warmest week in ever since they started to measure temperature. So strange. So Spain sounds lovely.
Yeah, right. This is the time of year I always think of the floofs outside, and every time you're like, they don't care. They throw a blanket on them when it gets really cold, and they're fine.
It depends on which floofs you talk about. The dogs have never been so quick doing their business and coming back in.
That's true. The much larger floofs, however,
Horses are pretty resilient to cold. They're like 10 degrees, nothing. I'm good.
yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions out there?
Matt just said it's not even 90 degrees in Texas.
Oh, it's can get colder there as well.
Oh yeah.
I remember I was down many years ago in College Station, Texas, doing gig for the university there, and when I was supposed to drive to the airport, they told me I couldn't because there was you can see a few snowflakes on the ground.
You were probably thinking, so?
Yeah, more or less born and raised on the North Pole. It's like, I'm good. Sweden, we had significant amounts of snows, always. So you learn to drive it after a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine you get quite a bit back there.
A bit. All right, I do not see any more questions coming in.
Great questions. Folks are letting us off easy today, though.
Yeah. Everybody's looking at their clock like, all right, I need to get that turkey ready. Starting to
That's
the
right.
prep work. It's an art.
It is. I've got mine prepping already, but still plenty of chores that I have to do this evening.
Is that so? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, then. Since there are no questions, and it is indeed a slower week, I have to say that it's our here is to a fantastic week to all of you guys. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you again next Wednesday. And yeah, take care out there.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Johan. Those in the U.S., have a happy Thanksgiving. And those that are not, just enjoy the long, hopefully quieter weekend. Have a great one, everybody.
All right, thank you.